I think if you lose that passion for wanting to do it, then maybe you're in the wrong job.
Yeah.
But for me, if I get the opportunity to go and do a viewing with a client, I'll always go. If one of my agents needs something, I'll typically try and tag along, or they'll ask me to come along.
Andrew Elliott, Head of Commercial at Chestertons. Welcome back to the Rebel Agent podcast.
Thank you for having me back.
No, I really appreciate you coming back. I think it was about a year ago you were on last.
Yeah, because I was thinking when I was driving down here, thinking it must have been summer last time, because I remember the walk across the road thinking how hot it was.
Yeah.
And I've just done it again with you.
Yeah, and it's particularly warm. This May has been hot, hasn't it?
I feel the humidity's kicked in a lot earlier, I don't get to do as much outside as I used to with viewings and stuff, but walking between Marina Plaza and the mall, every day you get that feeling of it's getting hotter.
Well, you've got agents that you just send out, haven't you, to do that?
I still miss being on the coalface. I still miss meeting clients. I still miss doing viewings. But I think when you've got a team of 20 agents, I'm kept pretty busy.
I think anybody in management, they find that, don't they?
Yeah. I think if you lose that passion for wanting to do it, then maybe you're in the wrong job. Yeah. But for me, if I get the opportunity to go and do a viewing with a client, I'll always go. If one of my agents needs something, I'll typically try and tag along, or they'll ask me to come along. I'm not sure which way around it goes.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you can help them, and they benefit from that. But let's go back. So it was a year ago you were on. What's evolved at Chestertons over the last year?
The great thing, I've grown my team. I think at the time then I had about 12 or 13 agents. I can't remember. We're now up to 20 agents. So we're where I want to be. I think my senior management would maybe like me to have a couple more. But it's not the end of the year. I've still got September through till sort of December, which I could pick up a couple more. The interesting thing is I've starting to see more experienced agents contacting me, looking to move across, looking at the platform that we're offering, looking at the commission splits that we're offering, and I think also a little bit of the expertise that I come with, and also the team building that I've managed to do. So starting to see a few more experienced agents coming across to me. Two have just started. One of them more on the industrial side. Another one focuses more in DIFC. So good catches for me.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Remind me how many years you've been at Chestertons, because you you were heading up CRC.
Yeah. So I've now been there, so it was October 2022, so this is my third year. But I literally, when I started, we had nothing. So we started from ground zero, really, which I have to say has not been the easiest. There's been trying times. There's been changes of all sorts of things along the way. But at the moment, I feel like for me on the commercial side, we've definitely got a good direction. We've definitely got a good team. We've got some good agents, and we've got a stable team. We're not losing agents every other week. I don't think, touch wood, I've not lost an agent yet this year.
Good retention.
Never, but retention of over 5 months of not losing an agent. And I think it might have been September or October that I lost the last one anyway. So good retention at the moment.
So it's been steady growth, hasn't it, Elliott, since you've been there? And if you've taken it from 12, 13 a year ago to 20 now, that's good. And Chestertons, Dubai in general, how many agents roughly?
So at the moment on the commercial side, that's mostly our market. We do have an off-plan, a smallish off-plan, which got about 8 agents. The residential's probably about 15 or 16 agents.
Which is all off-plan, is it?
So off-plan residential team and then a residential team. So secondary market residential. So in total there's probably around 22, 23 agents at the moment.
Yeah, so it's a kind of a mid-size agency in Dubai, isn't it?
It's smaller than we'd like. The plans are obviously to get that up to the sort of 60, 70 numbers. At the moment, we're just not quite there.
Yeah, and then on the commercial side, where would you rank? Obviously, CRC's one in Dubai. Where would you rank?
I'd challenge you on CRC's number one these days, but never mind. I think, and I'll be honest with you, we had such a lot of companies jump into commercial real estate in the last couple of years, and new agencies in the market, really. White & Co.'s jumped into commercial.
Okay. I didn't know that.
You see McCone's also got a bit of commercial stuff. Equity's got it. Luxfolio's now got commercial. And you look at it, and the market is definitely a lot more competition in it. 4 or 5 years ago, there was 3 or 4 of us doing commercial. And some of the companies that were doing commercial back then are no longer. Yeah. So we do have a very healthy competition in the commercial segment at the moment. And then you have your global players that are obviously always, or have been in the market for the last 10, 12 years.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into the market in general shortly. But I know you just did an event, didn't you, at the Marina?
So we did I like to think it as a commercial breakfast where we invited a load of our clients to come down. We did a little bit of a sketch with our valuation team. They did some numbers on the market at the moment on the residential side and on the commercial side. We had a law firm come in and do some a talk on licensing, on VAT, taxation, especially with the commercial sector at the moment. Obviously, corporation tax is going to be coming in on commercial real estate. We don't really have the guidelines on how that's going to work, but that was a very interesting talk and got a lot of questions from the floor on that one. We then also had our investment guys. They're doing a project at the moment in Ras Al Khaimah, and they did a whole sort of play on what Ras Al Khaimah's doing. We had about 52, 53 people to come to it, which
Brilliant.
was our first event.
Yeah, you must have packed the room out because it was at Crown Plaza, wasn't it? Where I had an event.
If I said to you, we booked a room for 30 people, and I wasn't convinced we'd get 30. So when 50 turned up, it was sort of standing room only, and everybody was like, why haven't you got a bigger room? And you're like, it's a bit hard to gauge your first. I mean, we've never done anything like this. I've never done anything like this. And hopefully we look forward to doing our next one in September.
Yeah. So you need bigger premises, right?
That's already in the plan. We had a brief chat about it already. So hopefully the next one we'll look to do one in maybe the Marriott next door in Marina Plaza. So we've got a room that I think seats 100 people.
I was sorry I couldn't make this one. I was busy, but I'll come.
Too busy filming podcasts.
Well, I was doing a podcast. Yeah, that's absolutely right. Let me pick you up on one thing you said there. Corporation tax on commercial rent, is that?
So it's all a bit of a grey area at the moment, so I don't really want to give away too much. But at the moment, they're talking about corporation tax coming in on commercial real estate, in which case the framework that the legal team were giving us the other day, we're talking about anybody who owns commercial real estate, potentially with an income over $1 million dirhams, is going to need to register as a corporate entity, in which case their property portfolio should technically be in a company name, in which case there'd be then taxation on that. At the moment, don't quote me on any of this because it's still to be defined. I think that's worst case scenario, and we'll see what comes out. I think it's September time that it'll come out.
That'd be interesting, and I suppose the slight concern there might be for those that don't like tax, that $1 million dirham might drop, mightn't it? It might be $500,000.
It could be $500,000. It could be higher. I mean,
yeah. But I mean, it initially come in maybe at the $1 million, and then maybe
and it'll be interesting because it'll be interesting to see how that's defined. Is it residential? Is it companies that own a mixture of both? Is it purely office space, retail space, warehouse space? So it's going to be an interesting one, I think, to see what effect it has on the market. I know investors that obviously had bought property, and when VAT came in, they quickly moved properties into company names, personal names, family names to keep their income below the 367,000,
right?
Which it was at the time. So it's an interesting one that will maybe change the landscape a little bit for commercial landlords.
It's happy days for accountants, isn't it, with the extra work they're going to have?
If I was to tell you how many times a week I get contacts from accounting firms offering their services, offering to come and refer any of my clients to them, I'm not sure how many they're going to refer to me. So it's a bit of but thankfully I've managed to have some good advice. We had one of the accounting firms come in a couple of weeks ago, did a whole training session for my agents on that.
Yeah, good. So, but the event, just going back to the events, it's difficult to tell at the moment, but I'm sure that'll pay dividends for you. And it gives you a sense of, it makes you look authentic, doesn't it? If you're providing this information, whether you're doing it or whether the the legal firms are doing it.
I think it's giving something back. And I think everybody who's in the real estate market, whether you are an investor, whether you're a buyer, whether you're a seller, whichever side of the market is, people always have an interest in the market. And if you're able to give them insights into the market, whether it's the commercial, whether it's the residential, people are always hungry for knowledge and people are always hungry to learn. And this was something that I sort of always felt would be a good way to give something back to our investors, give back something back to our client base, and obviously show what we do actually do. We're not just a real estate agency. We have a lot of the professional services. So we have building consultancy, project management, we have investments, residential, team. Valuations is a big part of our business as well. So I'm lucky that I get to lean on all these guys for information on transactions. I mean, like yesterday we had a warehouse in Al Quoz. We'd done some numbers on it from the sales side. The valuations guys did their numbers. We weren't too close. But I can understand their reasonings. I can understand my agent's reasonings of why it's worth so much. But it's great to be able to fall back on those services.
Yeah, that's very true. I look forward to coming to the next event.
Fantastic. I'll make sure I send you the invite.
Yeah, great. Let's get into off-plan. I know you wanted to talk a little bit about that, because when you were on last time, you were talking about this shortage of commercial property, but you've been to a few events recently. What are you seeing?
I think in the last, probably since February, we've seen I think we're getting up to 17 launches. And I was doing some maths the other day for our sort of breakfast meeting thing, and that I've come out with about a 7 million square foot of being launched.
Right.
And some of that's individual freehold developments, and we're starting to see new developments coming away from the central sort of Sheikh Zayed Road corridor. Mohammed bin Zayed Road seems to be one. Motor City, there's quite a few commercial developments coming up there. Arjan, we've had one launched. JVC, we've had a couple launched. Marjan, opposite Al Barari, we've had a few launched there. So you're starting to see maybe companies or developers are thinking, with all the residential being developed outside of the sort of city limits, they need to provide commercial. And I think that's also a great way of moving people from using Hessa Street to Sakim Road on a daily basis, and people who maybe do live out that way not wanting to come to Sheikh Zayed Road every day to work.
Yeah, developers are starting to react.
Definitely they are. We do have, obviously, the Sheikh Zayed Road corridor is still one of the big ones. DIFC's launched a load of commercial office space. JLT's launched a load of commercial space. Business Bay, we've got, I think, at the moment, 4 developments under construction. I think there's a 5th one about to be launched. So we're starting to see a good ramp up of commercial space. It's been a bit slow, I have to say. I mean, you look at the ramp up of residential and the fact that we've had so little commercial built in the last sort of 10 years, I did think we would have maybe had a bit more launched last year. But I knew at some stage we definitely would have off-plan commercial. And at the moment, I think every day my phone pings with somebody saying, can I invite you to a launch? Can I come and see you? Can I come and pitch to your team? Can I? And I'm like, well, there's only so many days in a week at the moment.
Yeah, it depends what meals you offer or what entertainment you provide.
Choose the right ones, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly that. But you were saying this, weren't you? 12 months ago, you were saying this is exactly what it needed. Also, 12 months ago, you were sort of making predictions as to how you saw the market going, and you've been pretty much spot on with that, I think.
Yeah, and I think the demand for me at the moment, and my little sort of insights, 2028 is really when we're going to start seeing these new developments handing over. We do have some space handing over sort of early 2026, not a huge amount of space, but the majority will hand over 2027, 2028, and there's normally delays in there. So I sort of feel the next 2 years definitely that we're still going to be in a similar situation. There's still a shortage of space. Larger companies looking for bigger spaces are struggling to find that space, which is making it harder for us as agents. Occupancy rates in Dubai are probably still around 94, 95%. And I said this the other day, I sort of feel we need to get to a stage where office buildings are running at sort of 80, 85%, because it's tiring going into work and you're spending 10 minutes in elevators just to get upstairs and 10 minutes to get back down in the evenings, and the traffic and everything like that just makes it sort of more stressful to go to work, doesn't it?
Yeah. So as of now, where is the supply demand thing? You're saying that
we're still
the demand is too great.
Massively in demand, and supply, like I say, I think 2028 is before we're going to start to see any sort of correction in prices or anything like that. It might take longer, because if the population carries on growing for the next 2 years, by that time there's going to be even more demand for commercial, and what is handing over is just going to feed what we require to grow anyway.
And the biggest section in commercial is office space, isn't it?
Definitely. However, the industrial side is a booming side as well. And honestly, the demand for industrial warehouses across Dubai is still massive. We're starting to see clients talking to us saying, should we be considering Northern Emirates? Should we be looking at Sharjah? There's a load of new spaces coming up there. Al Quwain. You've also now got the Ras Al Khaimah coming up with the casino. And obviously to supply the casino, which I think has got 1,500 rooms.
Wow.
And you look at 1,500 rooms and you think, how many supplies are they going to need on a daily basis? Even if they're only running at 50, 60% occupancy, you're still looking at 700 people or 700 rooms, multiply that by 2 or 3 people, you're looking at a lot of food that's going to be required. And at the moment, they don't have the logistics. So the supply of warehousing in Ras Al Khaimah, obviously refrigerated for food, you're then going to need all the rest of the supplies that go with it.
Yeah. One of the questions that I had for you was, we talk about the office space, and obviously for a business to get a license in Dubai, you have to have an office. Do you ever see it being the case in the future where, for example, the company I'm with, EXP, we're a cloud-based brokerage, and Dubai is the only place in the world where we got an office because we have to have one here, whereas everywhere out, the other 27, 28 countries, we don't have offices. Could Dubai go the same way and therefore reduce the demand?
I have thought, if we continue to have the pressure of lack of space, that the smaller companies may be able to get away with working from their bedroom in the villa or an apartment or something like that. But I also think that there's such a big play on the commercial real estate. And I have to say, one of the biggest players in commercial real estate in Dubai is Dubai government. Right. So you're sort of biting the hand that feeds you if you open that door. And I don't see them relaxing that rule. And I think Dubai's also got a very good work from the office culture. I mean, a lot of people in the West will probably say to me, it's a terrible culture, you shouldn't work from the offices. But I think COVID, we weren't impacted by it that much. No. People didn't stay working from home for months, years. And we don't have that cost of commuting like you do in London or New York, and as well as the time frame that people commute in London and New York. I mean, I know people in London, they commute 2 hours to get to the office every day, and you sort of look at that and think, that's 4 hours a day that you just sat on a tube or a train or a bus or whatever. Touch wood, I think most people in Dubai, unless you're sort of living in Sharjah, your commute's 20, 30, maybe 40 minutes, maybe you get to an hour, which is not a huge commute in the grand scheme of things. And I don't see that the government's going to change that. I might be wrong, but I'll be surprised.
I'd like to just go back to agency. There's a lot of agents working in residential at the moment, fewer in commercial. Do you think there's an opportunity for certain agents that are working within residential to move across?
Definitely there is, and definitely there is a lot of residential agents who touch on the commercial side. They don't necessarily spend full-time or are not full-time commercial agents. But I think residential agents, if they don't have a huge establishment, it's quite easy to move across. But also you've got to question an agent who wants to leave residential, where I would say it's perceived easier business to do to move to commercial, where it is a lot more niche, but obviously it is also a more difficult market to conquer. And I think residential agents, if they have already got a large portfolio of landlords, it's unlikely they're going to move to commercial, because it's literally,
that's taken years to build up.
You've taken that time to build your portfolio, to then suddenly go, actually, I'm going to give all this up and I'm going to go and do commercial, doesn't really work, especially on a commission-only basis. I think if they were all salaried, it would be a different scenario. But on a commission-only basis, once you've got your database, you're not really jumping around, are you?
No, that's true. But of the agents that have moved across, obviously you've taken quite a few over the years. What's sort of the ideal profile of somebody coming across from
I've always gone for
sort
of guys that are very competitive. I've always gone for people that are more business development minded, people who are a little bit older, purely on the fact that you're dealing with CEOs, you're dealing with CFOs, you're not just dealing with mum and dad looking to lease an apartment. You're dealing with global companies. We're having decisions made in New York, London, Tokyo, Hong Kong on the future office space of a company. And you're also, the company's trusting that you're giving them the right solution for their business for the next 5 years. And if you haven't got that ability to convince somebody that you're giving them the right solution, they're not going to buy or lease from you, are they?
Exactly. When you're dealing with that client, it's much easier if you can have a proper conversation and you know a bit about that business in general.
And that's why, for me, business development guys, people who are B2B sales, people who come from that background. I like the competitiveness, so people who've got a good sporting background, they do very well for me. And then, like I say, with the age thing, I struggle with the younger ones because they struggle to stay focused.
Right.
And not only that,
a lot of distractions, particularly in Dubai,
especially in Dubai. But not only that, you've also got the CEO of a company that's potentially a 45, 50-year-old male dealing with a 21 or 22-year-old. It doesn't really work because they don't take them serious. And I typically don't recruit anybody under sort of 25, 26, and more so 27, 28.
Yeah, and then how much time you have training for them, presumably? Are you mainly using internal trainers?
So
external?
At the moment, I'm doing a lot of the training myself.
Yeah, makes sense, really. You've got the experience.
You can spend, and I think for me as well in commercial, I'm not bringing on 5 agents at a time. We don't have the space to train 5 agents and put them into the market at the same time. So I typically bring on 1s and 2s at a time. So I tend to do a lot of training. I have got a very good experienced team now. And along with that, they tend to learn a lot more on the floor. They sit next to me and they sit around me for the first couple of months and until they do grasp what we're doing and what we're up to. And I think as well as that, the support that the agents get at the beginning is what takes them through the rest of their career.
Yeah, and you did hint at the fact earlier that you're spending time with them on a day-to-day basis as well until they reach a certain level.
And I think, I've got agents that have been with me for 4 or 5 years now, and they still come to you with a lot of things that they don't understand or stuff that they need help with. And I think the market's such an evolving market. You're constantly having to sort of retrain yourself. But also, you look at now, I was sort of did a lot of off-plan commercial sales back in 2006 and 7, and you look at how lead generation is done these days in digital and ads and all these sort of stuff. And I've had to learn a huge amount over the last 6 months on.
Well, you're doing more and more digital marketing, aren't you, as a company?
And honestly, when I look at it and the costing to generate those leads versus what I spend on portals, and you look at what campaigns you can run on digital media, whichever way you want to call it. And I can spend 1,000 dirhams a day and generate 6 or 7 leads just from digital marketing. I can spend 5,000-6,000 dirhams on one property on Property Finder and get no leads. There's no guarantee with that. And I have to say, digital marketing's great. It does bring in a lot of leads. It does bring in a lot of leads.
On both sides, on the landlord and the tenant side?
So I've done both sides. I did a campaign for where were we? March, I think it was, back end of Ramadan, right through until I stopped at the beginning of May. And we did a landlord campaign, so we were generating landlords. And I have to say that while it was quite productive, we also had quite a lot of those listings already. So you're sort of like generating 3 landlords a day, and then one of them you've already had listed, one of them doesn't want to list. And you're sort of thinking, well, okay, we gained 1 landlord today, which is great because it helps build your portfolio.
It's one more than you would have gained anyway.
Yeah, it's one more than you would have gained. But then I look at the cost of it and how much more effective is it. But I have done it that way. I've also done secondary market digital marketing, and at the moment we just started our second campaign last night for off-plan. We did a couple last month, which the leads that come in, they're not necessarily the most qualified leads. You do get some random leads from random places around the world. I think one of my agents had somebody from, I want to say, West Africa, and she's a French speaker. And the lady sort of started messaging her saying, "Can you send me money? I need money." And she's like, "Actually, we're selling property. Are you buying property or not?
You send us money.
You send us money. We're not sending you money." So you do get some very strange leads that come through.
But that's inevitable.
And I think that's inevitable. And the amazing thing is that although we don't use autofill on any of our digital marketing, you still get people that have absolutely no idea how you're calling them and where they signed up and how did we get their number. And it amazes me that where they come from.
But it's a numbers game and a percentage.
It's definitely a numbers game. We've had some successes. I'd like to think we'd get some more successes, but I think it's tuning your digital marketing as well. It's not you put one advert out and off it goes and it works. You've got to find the algorithms.
Suck it and see.
you've got to find the algorithms, and you've got to get the meta algorithms right. You've got to get all the algorithms to work for you.
You are getting into it, aren't you?
I know,
you know all the terminology now.
I mean, it worries me because I'm not the most tech savvy person. So to be coming up with all these terms,
two old men talking about it.
Should bring some Gen Zs in here. They could talk to us better about it.
Yeah, a bit more fluent, wouldn't it? But what I think works really well with you is Chestertons, a great name. It's world renowned. You're in what, 28 countries?
I think at the moment we're in 26 countries.
26 countries, but it's the combination of Chestertons and digital marketing. Yeah. Whereas an agency that, let's say, we've never heard of, that set up last week, they might do digital marketing. They might even do it a bit better than you, but nobody's heard of them.
And I have to say, I see a lot of, and I think it's part of your research when you start doing all of these. But my reels now are just constantly commercial real estate reels in Dubai, and I look at half the people or half the agencies, and I'm like, I've never even heard of these agencies, and how are they suddenly cottoning onto commercial real estate? And are they just residential guys that are maybe setting up to try and do some commercial?
That's what they are, I'm sure.
Are they people that have been very successful in off-plan sales? Are they just landing pages to attract leads that then sell them on to somebody else? You don't know, and you don't know who your competition is in that space. Touch wood, at the moment, I'm not seeing many of the established players in Dubai market doing digital marketing, or not many of them coming through onto my feeds. The ones that are coming through.
So the established commercial agencies, they're residential branches are
residential. Even then, I'm not seeing them advertising commercial space. So I sort of feel like maybe I shouldn't be saying this.
You've got an angle at the moment.
Maybe I've got an angle. Maybe I'm a couple of months ahead of everybody else, which hopefully
or a couple of years.
Yeah, hopefully we can get some. Hopefully we can get some good deals out.
And then with the events as well.
Yeah,
yeah.
And then that's the platform we're looking to provide. Is we're not just an agency. We can do the valuations for you, can do your end of year audits, we can do your building consultancy. We've got guys that can go and look through the building and tell you what's wrong with the building, what you're going to have to spend over the next 7 to 10 years. We've got project managers. We've got that side of the business. We've got a big operation in Saudi at the moment. So, we're not just relying on the agency side.
So in Saudi, what is the operation? Are you doing?
Saudi's primarily building consultancy, project management.
Right.
And there's about 62 people over there at the moment. I think we've got 8 projects in Riyadh.
So not agency as such?
No, at the moment
that
not.
Will come though,
we are in the process of a commercial building that potentially will be ours in a couple of watch this space.
Yeah, okay. For the next podcast, maybe. And Abu Dhabi, what's the position there? I know
at the moment I've looked at Abu Dhabi a few times. I sort of feel like I need to get Dubai really sort of rocking. We're getting to that stage now, and I sort of feel that the next growth will potentially be Abu Dhabi. Need to understand the market better. It's not an easy market. I speak to a lot of people that are in the commercial space in Abu Dhabi, and I'm sort of questioning how much return there is there.
Right, but it's on everybody's lips at the moment, Abu Dhabi, isn't it?
It is, and that's why I say it's something that I keep looking at, and I keep thinking at some stage there's going to be enough there for us to do. And I think at the moment as well in Abu Dhabi, you've got a lot of the government or the ministries are based down there. How many of them are moving around? A lot of the big oil companies, they own their own spaces. They're not looking for space. So you sort of, what are you fitting into there? Yes, there is the retail transactions. There probably is some good warehouse transactions down there. But especially with Kazad coming up, they've got a lot of space going, and they seem to be doing a lot of stuff. So I think Kazad definitely is going to be on the map for a lot of people. Yeah.
Well, that's been a brilliant update. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about?
No, at the moment.
You've pretty much covered it there. I mean, bigger picture, you've touched on the bigger picture, as in how you want to grow Chestertons commercial in Dubai. So if you come back on in a year, you reckon you'll be up to about 30, 40 agents?
I'll be honest with you, at the moment in the market today, I don't think there is sufficient space for 40 commercial brokers. I might be wrong. I sort of feel 23, 25 is a good number, especially if you've got a few guys doing an industrial. Yep. And then you look at all the office spaces and then maybe a few guys focused on retail. But you've got to remember that you grow a team that big with so limited space. All you're doing is creating inbreeding or infighting, where the agents are fighting for listings, they're fighting for deals, they're not generating deals. They're in a position you start losing agents, and you get that reputation of a high turnover. It's not really what you want to have, is it?
You're just building, as we said before, you're building it steadily. It's growing nicely.
And we've got to the
stage. You've got the right guys. And
I think I've got a good team at the moment. I've got some very good agents. We've had some good transactions this year, and hopefully we'll continue to sort of solidify our spot at the top.
Brilliant. Well, I'm excited for the next year for you. I'm sure it will continue to go well. Will you come back on and give me an update?
Always happy to come on if you invite me.
Yeah, very welcome. Thanks very much, Andrew.
You're welcome. Thank you.